Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris. And today I've got kind of a project to do, and it's taking care of two things at once. Now, this is my big Euphorbia evansii tree, and I've got a little trimming to do on it. Now, I believe this branch here that hangs so far below the tree there, and this branch here need to come off to give the tree a kind of a rounder look and just make the tree look better. So I'm going to try to trim these off, but this branch here is an interesting branch. Now, it started out as one of the three angled branches. You can see the branch back there, but it turned into a division of three main stems. Now, if these Euphorbia trees like this, these three angled branches here, you can cut them off and you can start them, but it's going to take a two-step cutting method to make it grow into an actual tree, or else the branch will just continue to get longer and longer and longer and longer, and it'll never make the tree like you see here. Now, when I first started, it was from one of those little branches, and I had to do a two-step cutting method on it after a couple of years because it just got so long, like a briar, and then the tree did develop. Now, if you take a main stem cutting, the main stem cuttings will produce a normal tree. Now, this one is split into three parts. And then there's a second one down there. You can notice it's a 5-angled stem instead of being a 3-angled stem. Excuse me. And there is one right there. And it's also a 5-angled stem. So that'll start putting out a crown of branches, much like you see here. You see the whirl of branches that are around this main growing point, the main stem. And it will continue doing that if I were to cut this off and make it into a new plant. And this is my project. I'm going to trim this tree up. I'm going to trim this cutting off of here from back there. And I'm going to make a little bonsai evansii out of this branch. I'm going to have to trim off some of the branches with it. But it should make a pretty good little dwarf tree when I get done. I'll kind of put it in a low container. I actually have a terracotta kind of window box kind of pot that it might go in. And these root real easy. I've dropped these on the ground in the greenhouse, and they develop roots just sitting on the concrete floor. So I'm not worried about rooting. But I'm going to have to trim this up, and then we'll get to separating this out as far as what I want to keep. Now, this branch here needs to come off, and it's going to have to come off back in there. So let's see here. It's kind of tricky. Okay. Now I could take this branch and actually start this, but once the end is rooted, then you have to cut it off about 1 inch or 2 inches above the soil level when it roots. And then you can restart this, and you can make actually quite a few trees out of this if you do the two-step methods on all of them. But I've already got a couple of them growing, so I don't really need to do that. I've also got my big tree here, and so I don't think I need too many more of them. So I'll just discard that branch there. But it did kind of clear that little hanging J on the bottom there. And so now I'm going to cut this main big branch. And this is going to be the start of my cutting for my evansii bonsai. Let's see here. I'll go right under here, close to the trunk. Cut that off. Okay, I'm going to wash these cuts off. always good to wash these cuts off, get the sap off them, stop the bleeding. Needs a little bit more of a hard spray there. There we go. That'll help that heal better. We'll have all that white sap dripping all over everything, like the rocks down there. Wash it off pretty easy. And you want to be careful because this Euphorbia is poisonous like all others. Now, we'll take a look at it here. You can see, it's nice and rounded. It has a little spread toward the middle part and then up. And it'll be easier actually to bring in this winter and when I need to kind of cluster things near it. And so that bottom branch won't impede anything else being next to it. And so it'll fit better in the greenhouse. So that'll be good. Now this branch here, this is the main stem branch that I took off. And as you see, it did start from one of those 3-angled deals, cuttings. I don't know if it's because it got damaged right here that it put out these main stems, but it's kind of unusual to have a cluster of main stems. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up some of the branches on this, take some of them off, so it'll be easier to plant and more balanced in the pot. I'm going to shorten this, and what it's going to do is I'm going to have this kind of at an angle in the pot, so the main stems still kind of stick upright, but the whole trunk will be kind of pitched over. So let's do this. Okay, I'm going to take and cut this. I think I'm going to get it right up around here, just leave a little bit of a stump on it, just for rooting purposes. And then I'm going to probably trim up some of these under here. Let's see here. Hey, Big O. There's Big O. Hello, buddy. Gotta have Big O, my video cat. Okay, I'm going to trim up some of this. And definitely what's underneath the plant. I may want to just cut this a little bit shorter. It's kind of a hard core in there, and you may have to cut it off with a knife later on. It kind of sticks up there. I'll let that dry, just trim that off. Kind of a fibrous, woody kind of core there. Anyhow, cut a couple more of these branches off. Cut that one. I'm going to have to kind of look it over. Just to see how that looks. Let's see here. Some of these I'm going to have to trim off, just give it some balance. One there. Okay. I'll look it over. Some of these branches out of the way. Okay. So ultimately, it's going to kind of sit like this. So, I'll have to cut this little branch down here because it'll be in the way. Let's see here. Right here. Yeah, that probably should be a better effect there. I may just let it dry like this. Cut off some of these little stumps here. They're dried from dead branches. Okay. Now to shorten this trunk. That's so I can let it kind of sit sideways in the pot. I'll probably have this rested around some rocks and such. Move it. Look at it here. I'm going to open this up like that. I can get it out. It's rather stuck in there. Another tricky little spot. There we go. Okay. Bleeding quite a bit there. There we go. So now we got these two main stems pretty much ready here. I'm cutting some of the excess branches off. And then we got this one. Doesn't have any side branches yet, but that won't take long, I'm sure, once it gets rooted. So now I'm going to make a cut on this evansii. Get rid of this. Probably about right here. Just enough to give it a little bit of a stem to go down in the ground. Okay. And we got what I want. And this is kind of what I'm looking at here. Holding it by this pot for it to just kind of branch out and kind of lay down a little bit and not grow straight up like the mother tree. That nice big fat wonderful trunk. But it will kind of be kept smaller, a little wilder looking, and kind of growing off to its side and then up. As you can see how these main stems have curved because it's been a hanging branch. I said it was kind of an unusual branch. You don't see a cluster of main stems like this. There it is. Anyhow, I'm going to let this dry out. And then I will show you when I plant it up and stage it. This is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. Stay tuned for the update on this bonsai evansii and see how it goes. Take care.